The next session is Spotlight On, Major Event Lineup. Please welcome the President and Chief Executive Officer of Visit Detroit, Claude Molinari. Joined by morning anchor at WDIV-TV 4 NBC, Rhonda Walker.
Claude, good to see you. Good to see everyone. Oh, I'm so excited to have this conversation, especially coming off of Bud talking about everything we're excited about with Grand Prix. So, Claude, it's all in a name. Visit Detroit.
That's right.
We have become this destination place. You've been with Visit Detroit and, of course, the prior name, Detroit Chamber Regional. I get mixed up.
That's why we changed the name.
Metro Detroit Visitor Convention Bureau. But Visit Detroit, it is all in that name. I just wanted you to share over the last decade the perception and why we have become this destination place.
Well, I think that when I first moved to Detroit in 2011 and I would travel the country, people would say, you know, where are you visiting from? I'd say Detroit, and they'd be like, oh. So, and that was so disappointing. And then right around 2017, 2018, now, I was just in Columbus, Ohio yesterday for the Professional Conference Meeting Association. You couldn't even get near our booth. People were like, Detroit, I'm hearing so many exciting things. Everything is happening there. And you guys, if you could add some more hotel rooms, we'll bring our convention.
Okay, well, you segued right into it for me because we have some big events coming. We have the NFL draft in 2024. There's talk about Final Four coming. So these are massive, big national events. And the holdback, of course, has been that we need more hotel space. So where are we?
So thank goodness we had the legislature in the lame duck session. They passed funding so that we can go out for bonds on the convention center. So we're going to be adding a major hotel attached to the convention center. And people like Adam Silver, who's the NBA commissioner, and they owe us an all-star game. I mean, we have a beautiful new arena, LCA, and he said, when you guys get 1,000 more hotel rooms, we're going to bring an NBA all-star game there. So as soon as we break ground, we're going to be heading to New York and saying, hey, remember what you said, you owe us a game, we need to have it happen.
We had a Super Bowl here in '06. I think a lot of people don't understand, like, how are we able to do that, and now we're here?
There is a lot of leverage, I think, put on the National Football League with a brand new dome stadium. But, you know, I do think that really, if you look at downtown from 2011 to today, it's almost unrecognizable. I mean, Mr. Torgo was up here earlier talking about, I mean, like 2 years ago, that beautiful Huntington Bank Tower didn't exist. The Little Caesars headquarters didn't exist. I mean, the amount of transformation and change in this region, it's almost unimaginable.
So is there a demand now, maybe not the massive big events, but other conventions and people coming from out of state that are coming here for various, maybe smaller conventions?
And we're getting a lot of conventions. In fact, just this last week, we booked the American Postal Workers for the summer of '24, 17,000 attendees are coming here. But I can tell you this, Rhonda, we did a 5-year study of lost business. And in the last 5 years, 2 of which were a pandemic, we lost nearly 600,000 room nights because we do not have enough hotel rooms downtown.
Wow.
We lost 50,000 room nights because we don't have a convention center attached hotel. So that's, and you know, some people say, well, we got to fill up the other ones first. What happens is, it's a false narrative. If we don't have enough, we don't get any. So and again, we have the 16th largest convention center in the country, which means we can do this many events, but with 5,000 hotel rooms downtown, 1,000 of them casino rooms, we can only get to this many.
So certainly that is a challenge just because it takes a while to build a hotel. I mean,
no doubt.
WDIV is right next door to one of them, and I'm like, when is this thing going to be done?
Yep.
Supply chain, there's a lot of things that are going into actually getting structures built. So what are the challenges?
Well, you know, the good news, though, is that nothing sells like hope. And when, you know, a lot of these events, they book for several years in advance. And so once we break ground and we say, oh, there's another 200, and the Godfrey, that's another 300, and Olympia Development is building another hotel attached to them, that's another 300. All of a sudden you start saying, all right, we've just built up our inventory significantly. And once we can make this announcement about the next hotel that's going to be attached, an upper upscale 800-room hotel, that is going to really change the narrative. And then we'll be able to book, because they'll say, well, for our 2028 conference, and frankly, with the Final Four for 2027, they're banking on that hotel will be ready for their event, and it will be.
2024. That's next year.
2027 is the, Final Four.
Right. Okay. So in terms of the impact, having all of this tourism, all of these conventions coming here for our restaurants, you know, for our businesses, not just in Detroit, but throughout the metro area, give us perspective of that impact.
But just even from the standpoint of like if this summer we had the battery show out in Novi, massive, you know, automotive battery show. The week before the event took place, the hotel occupancy in that part of the region was at 50%. And during the 2 weeks of the event, it was at 97%.
Wow.
So you're almost talking about double the revenue. And then the week after, when they moved out, it was right back down to 50%. So those huge fluxes in revenue and occupancy make a huge difference. And again, these are people that fly here, eat at our restaurants, stay at our hotels, do shopping, and then leave. And they pay hotel taxes too. So these are Southeast people from outside of Southeast Michigan giving their money and spending it here. And that's a huge impact on our economy.
So what kind of feedback are you getting after these conventions happen here? What do they say about Detroit?
Well, you know, it's interesting. We held an event this summer. It was called Connect Partnership. We had 1,200 meeting planners from all over the world come in and visit. And 80% of them had never been here before. And prior to, you know, the promoters were like, you know, we really have to do a lot of, you know, propaganda here because there's a lot of negative feedback. People don't want to come. And overwhelmingly, we received comments like, I had no idea, this is so fantastic, this city, it's amazing. And you know, I talk about sometimes like Capitol Park, which is like a complete transformation. And now like, you know, there's a plastic surgeon in Capitol Park now, along with high-end restaurants and a patisserie. All those things make a difference because when you come to see, they, oh, your convention center is great, but where am I going to eat, where am I going to sleep, where am I going to party, where am I going to shop? And that we have all that now downtown, it makes a huge difference.
So actually for a city to host an event, there's an expense incurred and just being able to play host to it. And I know you're working on a funding bill. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So, you know, for instance, like the NFL draft, that's to host that, that's $10 million we have to raise. Visit Detroit is putting in $2 million of our own dollars, but the $8 million we're going out to our, you know, our corporate partners. And I feel like sometimes there's like some Claude fatigue, you know, like we have an event.
Hide.
Exactly. You know, and we want to, you know, and it's tough to be a part of that. And when we compete against states like Texas and Indiana and California, they are putting out, you know, they have a large special event fund in place where if an event meets a certain criteria, brings in 20,000 room nights, 60% of the people from out of town, then it qualifies automatically for this funding. And sometimes, you know, that can be the difference between hosting an event and not. And again, a state like Texas, which is a red state, sees the value in a tax in a program, and San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, they're getting all the events. You know, when we compete against them, you know, like we just were awarded the 2027 NCAA Final Four. Well, they got the 29, you know, and they're doing all-star games and all these big events. And so that's our competition, and they've got a big leg up on us. And I know sometimes people are concerned about corporate welfare or, you know, giving these events money, but it's the cost of doing business. And if we want to host these events and get the notoriety and that economic impact, that's what we're going to have to do.
Now, we have seen challenges with workers, getting people in some of these types of environments like the hotels. Is that a challenge as well?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Our mission is build the brand, promote the region, deliver the experience. We feel like we're really strong right now on 1 and 2. Number 3 is something we're really working hard on. And you know, we're working with, you know, we're doing a pilot program with Romeo High School in Macomb County as far as trying to build that up. We're looking to do that in Oakland and Macomb County as well. But it's definitely a challenge. And it's not, the good news is it's not specific just to Detroit. It's all across the country. But it's definitely a challenge because, you know, you want to be able to deliver somebody a fantastic experience, and yet, you know, they're paying premium prices right now. Average daily rate for hotel across the country is the highest it's ever been. But
I have noticed
there's a challenge.
Not just here, but just in traveling. You're like, wait, I stayed at this hotel a year ago and it was half the price per night.
Right, and then it's like if you go to a hotel and they say, all right, there's no room service and we're not going to clean your room for the 4 days you're here, and we're also charging you a higher price, that can get in the way. The good news on that, though, is the pent-up demand for travel has never been stronger, and I think that's part of the challenge is that the workforce is not ready to meet the demand, and so the hotels are able to raise these prices because people are paying them.
So as we look into just this year, it's January, it's 2023, what are you most looking forward to in terms of what's coming?
Well, we have the American Bus Association, which is in February, and that's group tour operators from all across the country. And we went there, last year was held in Dallas, Texas, and we were responsible for the final party and getting them ready for the next year's event. And I'll tell you, those people can party. So we're excited for what they're going to bring here. And,
who knew?
Right, exactly. And then we've got huge shows. We've got the American Institute of Iron and Steel Technology, which is a huge citywide convention. We've got Automate, which is the largest autonomous assembly line convention in the world. We've also got the Asian Pacific Economic Cooperative. It's the third time in the history of the world that this is actually going to be held in the United States, and it's a major convention. So, it's going to bring all the travel and trade ministers from the Asian ring to the United States, and they're going to be here in Detroit, and maybe that'll also bring the president and a few other people.
Hey, that sounds good. So you're talking to the business community right now. These are passionate business leaders and business owners that are all in when it comes to Detroit and the metro area. What's your kind of call to action for them? How can they help with this?
Well, first, stay awesome. That's what we need the most. But I think also it's also important right now to rally around the auto show. The North American International Auto Show is a major event that is so signature to Detroit. And when the opening press day is here, that is the whole world is focused on Detroit, and the President of the United States was here for 5 hours that day. And I think that that's something that, there's been a lot of, not a lot, but there's been some negative about that. And I think that people have to understand is that even this year, the convention center had its 3 most profitable non-auto shows ever. 3 most profitable ever. And that is dwarfed by this year's not so great auto show by double. So the auto show is enormous here. It puts us on the face of the map, and I think that everybody should rally behind this event because it is so important. There's so many Michiganders who work, union tradespeople and workers across, and food service workers, everybody, and I think that's really something that we need to be cheerleading for it and not, detracting from it.
And I mean, it was certainly a transition year in terms of bringing the auto show back, and there were a lot of elements that we're used to having and seeing and experiencing in an auto show that were different. Take us inside though. Was it a transition year? Was there, like real talk, was it just kind of like, well, we're just kind of figuring it out?
I think that I would say only the hospitality industry has been disrupted more than the auto industry recently.
Yeah.
And with the moves to electrifications, and we have to remember, at this time last year, we weren't so sure. We were still in the depths of the pandemic.
Right.
January, February, and March of last year, we had very few events of any kind taking place. So to expect, like 5 months later that the show is going to be identical or as good as it was prior to the pandemic, I think I don't think it's something you could expect. So the event, here's what I would say. This may not have been as great an auto show as was in the past. I think we all agree with that, but it was probably the greatest auto show in the world in 2022.
Absolutely.
I don't know that anywhere else. Paris, Japan, Frankfurt, Germany, they're not able to put together what Rod Albertson, the North American International Auto Show, was able to put together this year.
So talk about your team over at Visit Detroit.
Well, we have an incredible team. I think you look at things like us able to procure the NFL draft and the Final Four and the USA Boxing National Championships and the Golden Gloves National Championships and so many other things. And I look at Dave Beach now, who's in charge of our sports commission, and Marty Dobek, who's a deputy director. They are involved in everything. In fact, they're probably going to get mad at me in a second here, but we just sent them out to Moncton, Nova Scotia to see the to see the World Junior Hockey Championships, which
sounds cold.
It doesn't mean a lot to anybody else, but Canadians love it, and we're right on the border. So we're trying to get that for 2025. I think we got a good shot at that, and that'll fill up all our hotel rooms. And then Time Magazine named Detroit one of the top 50 places in the world as far as a travel destination. And that didn't happen by accident. They didn't pick our names out of a hat.
That does deserve an applause, absolutely. Congratulations.
And really, though, our Senior Director of Communications, Chris Moyer, he worked them so hard, get so much information. I'm sure their inbox like, Moyer again, like, who is this guy? But, and then it pays off, though. So, we've been very deliberate about trying to get our message out there in front of the right people and try to be as aggressive as possible. And again, coming off of the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, there were 70 people at Visit Detroit. I inherited a team of 25, but it was 25 all-stars. And then, as we've repopulated the team, we've gotten some real superstars, which I've really appreciated. And again, there's like a major organization of CVBs, and they have like a 30 under 30, and 2 of those people have come and joined us from like other organizations.
All right.
So we're always saying like, yeah, you guys, train them up, put them in your farm system, make them awesome, and then we'll just take them off your hands and we'll use them in the future.
Well, great work. So much to look forward to. Very exciting. And of course, that award is a big deal as well. So let's hear it for Claude Molinari, President and CEO of Visit Detroit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.